We all have beliefs. Beliefs about ourselves, beliefs about how the world works, beliefs about how the world should work. And our beliefs are what ultimately determine how our life turns out. The results we produce, how we are seen by others, even how we feel about life is all determined by our belief systems. So let's understand a little bit more about how they are formed and how they impact us. Our beliefs come from three sources. They come from our own personal experiences, from information we've received like books, classes, programs, and sometimes we just absorb them from our surroundings, society, culture, family, peers, and so on. The reason we have beliefs is so that we can make decisions quickly. We all need beliefs in order to function on a day-to-day basis. For example, when I walk across the floor, I have beliefs like my legs are strong enough and the ground won't suddenly open up. It's not that I'm consciously thinking about it. I just assume this is true because that's been my experience in all past instances when I walked across a floor. If every time I walk across the floor, I started wondering whether my legs were actually strong enough or if the ground might suddenly open up, I would be paralyzed. So we do need beliefs. When we are faced with a new situation, our beliefs help us interpret what is happening so we can respond to it. Let's take an example to illustrate this. Imagine that after you graduated and started working, the first 3 bosses you had were aggressive bullies. The belief you might form is that bosses push you around for their own career ambitions. So let's say the reality you face is this. A new boss takes over, and on the first day, he or she tells you they need you to work on the weekend. What would be your interpretation? Well, it might be, here we go again. This is another boss trying to take advantage of me. Our interpretations generate our emotions. In this case, you might feel angry or resentful or demotivated. Our interpretations will also generate the thoughts that float around our head. Maybe you're thinking, who the hell does this person think they are? Or I need to check out job websites to see what's available. Even the sensations in our body are generated by our interpretations. Your blood pressure might rise, your muscles might get tight. Now, what we are experiencing in terms of thoughts, feelings, and emotions will determine what we do and say and how we do and say it. If you're experiencing the emotion of demotivation, then you might not work that hard or think with as much rigor about a problem as you normally do. You might even speak irritably to others. And our actions and conversations will determine the results we produce and our relationships with others. So if you're being lazy and irritable, you might produce shoddy output and annoy your boss. And in that case, your boss could micromanage you and push you even harder because they don't trust you, and that will reinforce your initial belief that bosses are jerks. But let's say you had a different set of past experiences. Let's say the first few bosses you had were really helpful and considerate. The belief you form about bosses is likely to be that they're helpful and considerate. So then, if you face the reality that your new boss asks you to work on the weekend, your interpretation might be, maybe this is really important. And so you feel motivated and determined, and you work hard and you collaborate with your boss. So you produce great output and your boss is really happy. And let's say on Monday, he tells the CEO how hard you worked in front of the entire office. That reinforces your belief that bosses are helpful and considerate. Now, the interesting thing about this example is how your initial experiences can often create beliefs that set off a chain of events that end up reinforcing the initial belief you started off with. And as this happens again and again, we go round and round the cycle and our beliefs become stronger and stronger till we stop seeing them as beliefs and we start seeing them as reality. Now here's the problem. The one thing we can't do to reality is change it. But we can change our beliefs unless we've started seeing them as reality. Some of the beliefs we acquire in our early childhood are helpful. Maybe we did well on a maths test when we were young and we started believing that we were good at maths, and so we enjoyed studying it and became even better at it. But maybe some of the beliefs that we acquired were not so helpful. Maybe we went up on stage at school one day to give a speech in the morning assembly and forgot the words in front of everyone, and everybody laughed. And so we started believing we are not good public speakers. And we started avoiding public speaking or feeling nervous when we spoke in public. And that meant we didn't get enough chances to practice, and our belief about being a bad public speaker became even more firm. Empowering beliefs are those beliefs that help us. Those like, I can make friends, I'm good at solving problems, I'm a helpful person. Distorting beliefs are those beliefs that hold us back. I'm not good at maths, I'm not a good public speaker, I'm an introvert and I can't network. These distorting beliefs produce negative experiences like anger, sadness, anxiety, or frustration. They have us behave in ways that lead to criticisms of our actions, like you're too aggressive, you're too quiet, you're not a team player, and so on. And they prevent us from achieving the results and relationships that we want in our lives. But we can't change the distorting beliefs that create all this because we think they are facts. And given that the advantage of our beliefs is that they speed up our decision-making process, when we question our beliefs, we slow down. We become confused or even paralyzed. Let me give you an example. Suppose we've always received the feedback that we are honest, straightforward people. But now we've received some feedback that we need to be more diplomatic to be good people leaders. We get confused because we don't want to be fake and inauthentic. And people have always appreciated us for our honesty. But we also want to get promoted. So we're not sure if we should try to change or stick with what has worked for us. So there are problems if we don't question our distorting beliefs because we think they are reality and we get stuck in a vicious spiral. And there are problems if we do question our beliefs because we get confused and paralyzed. So here's the way out of the dilemma. You do need to question your beliefs, but only in 4 specific situations. The first one is when the new situation or the reality you're facing is completely different from the past situations you've faced. So it's clear that the beliefs that worked then may not work in the new situation. For example, you get promoted from individual contributor to people manager, or from functional head to profit center head, or if you move from being single to getting married, or if you become a parent. The second situation you question your beliefs is when you have negative experiences consistently, if you're feeling stressed or angry or sad, for example. The third situation is when people give you critical feedback on your actions and conversations. And it's not just 1 or 2 people, there's a pattern to it. And the final situation when you need to question your beliefs is when you're not producing the results or relationships that you want to. Sure, there are things that are outside your control that are contributing to this, but it's also your choices that are contributing to this. And those choices are being determined by your belief systems. Here's the exercise for this session. What do you think are the empowering beliefs that you have that help you? What do you think are the distorting beliefs that hold you back in some situations?